Hello and welcome to Do-It-Yourself Musician. Today on the bench we have a Fostex RM-1. This is a stereo rack mount monitor. I wanted to pick one of these up for a little while. This is something you would use as a confidence monitor in a machine room or something, just where you wanted to hear what audio was, pumping into, I don't know, maybe like in a duplication room or something, just to make sure that you were getting your signal. And what this has is it has 4 tiny little speakers in here and a 1U rack mount with an amplifier built in. It's like a real small monitoring system. I thought this would actually be a great thing to have here on the bench, just to run signals through without having a big speaker setup. I did buy this off eBay as needs repair. It listing says that it works, but it did say a few things were wrong with it, like the gain knob, and I did take note that this gain knob seems to be spinning infinitely there, and I think that is, yeah, that's kind of a left-right gain knob. It's a concentric pot arrangement, so something's wrong, and that's also it's very loose there. This select switch, it's capable of doing like a left channel mono, mute, and a right channel thing, so you can monitor the different parts of the audio. And there's also 2 sets of inputs, an A and a B. This switch, that's probably okay. It probably just uses a micro to select among those, I think, but it doesn't latch or anything. So I haven't turned it on yet, and let's go ahead and apply some power to it and turn it on. See what it does. Okay, it came on into mute. That's left-right channel. There's your mono. That's left channel only, right channel only, and then back to mute. So I guess this is going to be left-right channel normal operation, and that signal light's probably going to come on when we feed it a signal, which I do have a 1000 kilohertz signal plugged into this, and I'm going to go ahead and turn that on to see if we get any audio out of it. Definitely heard a click there. Not really hearing anything. Oh, there we go. Whoa, whoa. Oh, that is loud. Yeah, something's definitely... Yeah, something's definitely not making connection here. Let me try one of the other inputs. Not really getting anything out of that. Yeah, that's very strange. Trying to be. Yeah, just barely getting any signal coming through that. Now let me try the right on the B. I don't believe that's my interconnects. I believe that's this unit. I mean, you can barely hear that, but that should be screaming loud at that level. Okay, so I think we need to take this apart first thing and just maybe look at this pot first to see what's going on there and see if we can get the signal. There's definitely some type of broken connection in this, so let's go look at that. So it looks like we kind of have a lid on this that wraps around right here, and there's a couple screws there. This is some screws, and there's screws on both ends. So I'm going to try to take those out and pop this off, and hopefully that'll give us access. There it goes. It's just such a weird configuration here. Okay, phone. Yeah, there's some kind of, I don't know what that is. Maybe to stop it from vibrating or something. But yeah, it's some sticky kind of foam stuff up in there that was grabbing on. Okay. So it looks like our front panel's still going to be under here. Gonna have to get that off. But just kind of cursory looking at this, we obviously have a toroidal transformer here on the input. This is going to be power supply section in here. There's a couple of linear regulators, it looks like, and some smoothing caps, rectifier diode package. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to need to gain access to the bottom of this circuit board to look for shorts, or excuse me, not shorts, but broken solder joints or something back here. And also we need to get into this front part of this case. Let me figure out how this works exactly. We might need to pull these screws out of the front to get to that. So let me do that. Okay, what I think I'm seeing here is that these screws here, there's 4 there and there's 4 here. I think those are holding in these speakers. And by the way, looking at this just now, I noticed this. Can you see that? Sorry, this thing's pretty big. It's hard to manipulate on this bench, but can you see that this has like a giant curve in it right there? And there's a mark down here. And you can see it right there. It just goes and bends up. Like somebody definitely dropped this thing. You can feel it's all bulged out right there. So this definitely took a drop, so that's going to factor into things there. But it looks to me like there's a couple of screws. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 that seem to be holding in this bracket right here. And I think if I take those loose, I can probably slide this out, which will slide our controls out. I probably need to get this knob off first, though. So let me get all that loose and try to get this out of here so we can look at it. So I need to get this knob off, and it looks like there's some little grub screws in here. This will be a good opportunity to use my new tiny little Weehaw hex key sets here. I'm going to guess that since this is Fostex, that it's going to be metric. So yeah, that's a 1.5. There. Let's get that off. Get that knob off, and then this. And like I said, this one's just spinning. I don't know if that's because the grub screw's loose or the pot's broken or what. This does have 2 grub screws in it. There's one on each side. I think that might be the pot's damaged. Okay. So let me pull these other screws out and see if I can get that module out of there. Okay, I've removed the screws from this. I think this will pull out. Might need to, well, actually I'm probably going to have to remove these connectors. Those are speaker connectors there. Go ahead and remove both of those. And then, oh, that's tied down. Hang on. Get those out of there. Let's see if I can get it with this thing. These IC pullers work pretty good getting those out. Okay. Oh no, there's more. Okay. Having to take everything out here. Okay, well, it's gonna fight me again. Let me get it out of there. All right, the problem I'm having here is it's just getting held up on all these jacks, or excuse me, these Molex connectors back here. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and try to get this board loose and take it out. This board here, and get these connectors out. I need to look at the bottom of this board anyway, so I'll be right back. So I pulled this harness out, and luckily they color coded it. You have blue with white, blue with red, blue with brown, blue with black. There's blue with yellow under here, so you know where that all goes. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. There's like 6 screws holding the PCB in. There's also an amplifier package up under here that you need to get out. Be careful of that. Don't stress these joints by trying to lift this board or anything, so make sure that comes out of there. And then of course these jacks are probably screwed in on the back too. Okay, I've actually had to loosen the back of this because this would not let go. And again, it was being held by something here. You know, this is kind of weird how they made this. I don't even know what that is right there. It's like it has some kind of some studs under here to hold the screws in. You can see one. Yeah, and they put a piece of foam over this to keep the board from shorting out on it. And there's also this plastic shield. I guess they're trying to tamp down vibration as much as they can. This thing will probably rattle like crazy when you send audio through it. Okay, now let's check this board for any obvious broken solder joints. And then we'll see if we can get this guy out of here now. Yeah, that came out. Here's your... Yeah, that pot looks like it's ailing. And I'm gonna have to further break this down, take these screws out, and get it out of this case here, this mount. Okay, you remove 2 screws, and this board slides out. And then you got to remove the nut and washer from a headphone jack, nut and washer from this pot, and there's 2 screws also on that board you got to pull out. Then this should slide out of here. Never seen so many screws holding something together before. Yeah, here's this little board. Again, it's the headphone jack here. It's the AB selection switch, and here's the gain pot. Yeah, that seems to have been damaged. I don't think the external one here is actually turning anything. Actually, the solder joints look okay. It's just the pot itself seems to be destroyed. I bet it took a hit when it fell. I mean, this thing sticks so far out of the front of the unit that it's very vulnerable to get hit. So that's probably just going to need to just change that. I might pull it out and test it, but I mean, you know, I'll be like, this is just spinning. It's not doing anything. So this is definitely got to be changed. And then, like I said, I'll go through this and check closely the solder joints on here and make sure they're all good. So let me do that right now. So after pulling these boards and looking at them, the main board here looks okay. I checked a few basic things here and it seems okay. All of these connectors seem to have fine solder joints. Bridge rectifier looks good. These caps look good. Everything, the only thing really on this board I can see that doesn't look quite good, there's a set of 2K resistors here and here. They're both look like they've been getting a bit hot. There's some brown areas around those. These are 1/8 watt resistors. I could swap those for 1/4 watts or something. That's probably not the problem with this. It really looks like the problem is this pot. And upon closer investigation of this pot, really it's just the center works. It's bent and wobbly. As you can see, it's bent there. But this control for the other channel is just cracked off. It's hard to see it, but if you look down in there, you can see that the metal is just literally broken. So what I want to do is just replace this pot, just so we know that anything that's obviously broken is fixed, and then we can continue to troubleshooting after that. I don't have one of these pots, so I'll have to figure out what it is and order one up. It's some type of alpha pot. I'm sure you can get it at Mauser or DigiKey or somewhere. But let me figure that out, order it up, and I'll be sure to leave the part number below, and then we'll continue with the troubleshooting after we change this sucker. Okay, I have dug up a replacement for this alpha pot. This is not exactly the same thing, as you'll see here. The shaft on this one obviously is a lot longer. I could not find this available for sale anywhere. These are generally, I believe, what's called 9mm square alpha pots, and all of this dimensions for these knobs are just completely different depending on how you order them. And I believe Mauser is the main distributor for these things in the United States, and they just don't carry this. And there's also the fact that the original one here is round. It's not a D shaft or anything. I did find this exact one available from Full Compass as a replacement part for the unit from Tascam, but it was $32 just for this. That's just way too much for what is kind of a common part, but this, like I said, this is a bit special because this is so long. It was probably special ordered like that by Tascam for this product. I did find this one, which obviously is not the same, but there are some key things about this that are the same. Namely, that is, you know, where the PCB pins are versus where this threaded section is. If those are all the same, this is going to fit through the front panel, which means it'll make the clearances. We just need a knob to go on that. And I got this one from Small Bear Electronics. If you guys don't know Small Bear, you should look that up and get familiar with them, because they have oftentimes some weird parts that you'll need. But they did have a knob set for this too. It's a concentric knob set that's made to go on this one. Like I said, this one's a little different. It is a D. You can see it there. It's a D shaft, and it also has these notches in the concentric pot like the other one does not have. But this knob set's made to go on this. This knob here is quite a bit bigger than the one that came off the unit. So this may give me a problem, I'm not sure, but I think I might be able to work with this part of the knob to make it work. But anyways, we'll we'll make this work. And I believe this pot right here cost me like $2 or something versus $32 for the official replacement. I'll just go with this one. All right, so let me get this soldered back into this board here, and it should fit perfectly in there, just like the original. We'll get it soldered back in, and then we'll reassemble and test the unit and see if we get a solid signal at that point. Okay, I'm going to try to put this back together now. I've got the pot soldered in there. And this will tell us a lot about our fitment, because the front of this piece has, that's where the pot mounts to, and the jack and everything. So try to get this thing back in here. Gotta go over that stuff. Yeah, see, that should work just fine. We'll have to see how our knobs land on there. But I think it'll work. So I'm just gonna reassemble this module just loosely, and then get everything hooked up to where we can just give her a test and see if she makes any sound. Okay, again, I have a 500 millivolt signal, 1000 hertz going into it, and I've kind of just gently reassembled things here, so hopefully nothing will short out, just so I can test it. So I got that signal input on A channel back here, and I've got power applied, so let me go ahead and turn it on. And I already hear a signal. That is, yeah, it's showing me I'm signal and I'm on mute. Let's see. That's a B. Okay. There is my left, right. Okay. So I seem to have my left channel gain seems to be working, but my right channel does not seem to be working. Okay, that didn't take very long. Silly me forgot to actually put my channel jumpers on. I'm just jumping the channels back here. I've got one coming from the signal generator, and I'm jumping them over. I forgot to actually jump my channels, so I have both coming in. But now, as you can see, actually, just for a second, I'm on mute right now. So we're indicating signal and mute. And I can still hear just a very faint amount coming through. It's kind of strange. But I mean, I don't know, maybe this thing never worked that well to begin with, but that's both channels, and it's turned all the way down. And I'm still hearing signal from both channels. I mean, I can pull this. This is the right speaker, and I still hear signal. And I can pull the left, and I still hear the signal on the right. So it's definitely, it doesn't go all the way silent. There's some bleed in there. But now I've got both sides of this. There's my right. There's my left. And there's both. And that's the mono. That's just the left. And that's just the right. So I do have everything. Yeah, like I said, there's very, very faint bleed even on the mute, but definitely when you come off mute, you get just a little bit of signal coming in. And I'm not sure what that is. It could be a component value doing that. I'm not actually sure that even matters, quite frankly. So I don't know. Let me dig around a little bit and maybe think about what I want to do with that. And there's also these burned resistors down here. I'm going to go ahead and replace those. Let me do that next, and then I'll think about this bleed through. I mean, it's not really bleed because, I mean, I am active. It's just that my minimum volume isn't completely off. But it probably doesn't need to be, quite frankly, because I'll probably have it turned up just a little anyways. You know, it doesn't really matter. So I might just let that slide. But yeah, next I think I'm just going to go ahead and change those resistors for some quarter watts instead of those 1/8 watts because they're obviously burning. Okay, I'll pull this board out, and you can see right there these 4 burnt 2K resistors. These are 1%. I believe this whole board is made of these blue 1/8 watt 1% resistors. You can see those are getting toasty. They're not even blue anymore. So I'm going to go ahead, pull these out and change them for some quarter watts. Okay, if you look closely at these where I just desoldered those right there, you can see that the pins are bent over real sharply. And just because I'm getting rid of this component, I'm going to go ahead and just cut those off from the top rather than trying to bend those out, because it's going to rip the through-hole plating off the solder pads. So yeah, I'm going to just cut the components out from the top and then use a soldering iron to heat and pull out what's left of the pins. Yeah, if you look there, you can see, I mean, it's trying to lift the pads right off there. This is one of the shittiest PCBs I've ever worked on. This thing is just crap. And it's only one-sided, so, I mean, that's the reason. If those are actually plated through holes, you wouldn't have that problem. But yeah, those are dog mess. All right, here is the new resistors installed, the new 2K resistors. I did not have 1%, so I'll put some 5% in there. I think they'll be fine in that position. Nothing to worry about. Just want to get this build moved on, so let me go ahead. I'm going to reinstall everything into the chassis, check fitment on everything, and then we'll give it one more audio test. Okay, we've got everything assembled back in here now. We have the PCB back in. We have these 2 PCBs back in this carrier. This carrier is screwed back in here and also to the front panel. I think I just have a few more screws to put into these jacks in the back. Then I can put the lid on, and then we'll do a final test. Okay, so I'm having a look at the new pot here and the knobs that I have for it. And these cutouts that you see in the side of this pot allow those notches in this knob to line up such that, well, there it is, to line up such that it points to the 0 position. And then you have a pointer, of course. Now the problem that I can see here is that this knob is fairly large. It's kind of obscuring some of the dots there around the dial. I don't know if I really even need those. This is the outside cap, and it does have the D slot in it. I'm just getting that to go on. I don't know, it's not bad. I did notice that because if you remember, the old pot had a longer shaft and it stuck out a bit more, enabled for this knob to grab it a little better. It's because this is both of these are actually barely, I mean, that's barely grabbing on there. It should go a lot deeper. This one's grabbing pretty good, but I was kind of curious, what if I use the old one? You know, if I took this one and pointed it, pointed the knob, I kind of like that stripe better too. Pointed that at the knob, or excuse me, pointed that at 0. I might be able to actually get that to screw on there with the grub screws, and then I could use the outside from the new one to do that with. Does that work? Yeah, that might work actually. I mean, I wonder if I could just, yeah, that holds pretty good actually right there. This one, the old one, the grub screw is not going to grab this shaft, this grub screw. It's too deep within this to grab this shorter shaft of this. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to try and see if I can get these grub screws to grab in the right location on this one, and if it does, I can just use the new cap. So use the old concentric in the new cap. Okay, so I was successful in getting the old concentric part of the old knob, the grub screws to bite that pot shaft. So that actually works pretty good. And I think I'm just going to have to use the new outer knob. And that actually goes on there pretty tight. Probably don't need to put it that tight, but maybe back it up a little. They kind of spin together, but you know what? I mean, I want to turn left and right channels up together probably. So I think that's going to have to be it right there. All right, so now let's just inject a audio signal into this and see what it sounds like. Okay, let's test this out. Let me turn it on. And it comes on into mute. And you have the selector switch here, which will select to stereo, left and right channels. Mono, you can do left channel only, right channel only. Then it'll take you back to mute. You also have a signal level light there. And I've got everything turned down. I'm plugged into the input A. You have input A and B via this switch here. And I just have one of these 1/8 inch to 2/4 inch jack cables. And I'm going to play just one of my YouTube videos, so we won't get a copyright strike. So let's go ahead and play this. And as you see, we got a signal already. We select left and right. And can you hear that? That's that leakage. It's very distorted, but when you turn it up, you get proper amplification. Austin, Texas. These are pretty cool little units. I've been looking at getting one of these for quite a while, and also the really nice compressor too. Take a look at the back here. Looks like stereo in and out and a side chain. And of course your power connector. There's mono. This particular unit was listed on eBay as needs repair. So I bought it at a very reasonable price. Then back to mute. The seller says that I guess he plugged in the wrong power supply to this and blew it up. All right, okay, that seems to be working. Okay, there you go. That's the repair of the Fostex RM-1. This will be a good addition to my tech bench here. I've been needing something to amplify various signals from different units and stuff, and this will be perfect for that. I just got to find a place to put it here on the bench because this is deep, kind of an old school unit, so it's pretty deep, but I'll find somewhere to put it here on the bench. And all right, thanks for watching. See you on the next video.